61 AD, the northern edge of the Roman Empire. Here, a warrior queen rose in revolt. Her name was Boudicca. She united the British tribes against Rome, sacking cities and spreading panic and destruction wherever she went. The Roman governor at the time, Paulinus, scraped together 10,000 men in a final attempt to crush her, here on the main Roman road, Watling Street. This battle would decide the fate of Britain and test the bounds of Roman conquest. Now, with the help of the latest computer technology, you're about to see this great battle as never before. The vast numbers of soldiers, the troop formations, how they fought, and how the battle was won. Britain was a prosperous Roman province in the 1st century AD. It was rich in mineral deposits and natural resources. But Britain did not give over easily to Roman rule. No less a figure than Julius Caesar had tried and failed to conquer Britain over a century before. Rome successfully invaded Britain in 43 AD, but it took several more years to pacify the various tribes that populated the region. Even after they had been conquered, pockets of fierce resistance remained. Britain was far from being a settled Roman province.
This is a place where military reputations full stop, can be won or lost. One has to remember that Britain is a late entry to the empire. Here fortunes, military and financial, can be made.
In Britain, the Romans ruled over a patchwork of tribal kingdoms. In the north were the Brigantes, in the south the Belgae and Regni, and in the east were the Iceni. When the king of the Iceni, Prasutagus, died, he left his lands to be jointly controlled by his wife Boudicca and the Roman Emperor Nero.
And so we have a situation where Prasutagus actually made Nero his heir or part heir. And the idea, I think, behind what Prasutagus is doing is to ensure a favourable, friendly relationship between Rome and the Iceni.
By this arrangement, Prasutagus had hoped to ensure the safety of Boudicca, their 2 daughters, and his kingdom. But he had not offered enough to satisfy Rome's lust for conquest.
They came in, they took over, and when she objected, as naturally she did do, she was flogged and the girls were raped.
But Rome underestimated Boudicca. When she and her daughters escaped, they went back and raised an army. The brutal treatment of the queen and her daughters would be avenged. News of what had happened spread like wildfire. Boudicca's own tribe, the Iceni, joined forces with the neighbouring Trinovantes to throw off the yoke of Rome. Ancient histories claimed that her army numbered more than 100,000. Boudicca herself was described as tall and severe with long fair hair and a penetrating gaze. She would prove to be a formidable enemy of Rome.
I suppose today she has special significance because she was, after all, a woman. Celtic society were rather big on women. Roman society was not like that at all.
Roman writers make a lot of the fact that this rebellion is led by a woman. The Romans emphasise this very strongly in their accounts, and they regard Boudicca as this very, very strange, sinister figure. Something rather unnatural, really.
The Iceni fought with a variety of weapons, spears, swords and axes. Many smeared woad, a blue dye, over their faces, and sometimes their entire bodies.
We know that the Celtic warriors traditionally fought without clothes on at all. I don't think that was necessarily true at this period. I expect they will have had trousers, and we also know they had great big moustaches, and one Roman writer, a man called Diodorus Siculus, says that when the Celtic warriors drank their soup, these moustaches acted as a sort of filter.
Boudicca now had an army of almost 30,000 men and women. She attacked the town of Camulodunum, now called Colchester, and utterly destroyed it.
We are given details of the deaths of those people who were put to the sword and tortured by the rebels. The Roman historians talk about them being tortured, impaled on sharpened stakes, all sorts of really horrible details.
The Romans were taken completely by surprise. They hastily threw together a small army, but this force, not even properly armed, was soon swept aside.
We're dealing with southern England, we're dealing with, if you like, the soft underbelly of the emergent Roman territory. It's an area which has less troops in at this particular moment in time.
Rome had a full-scale war on its hands. The 9th Legion of around 4,000 men, led by Cerealis, was sent against the rebels. This was a crack fighting force. But the Britons defeated the 9th so completely that Cerealis was forced to flee to Gaul to save his own skin.
Cerealis was rash, he advanced without scouts, he was caught with his pants down.
The governor of Britain, Suetonius Paulinus, realized he had a crisis on his hands. He had been wiping out Druids on the island of Anglesey. Now he had to march the 14th Legion back 200 miles from the west coast to deal with this rebellion in the heart of the province.
In an ideal world, he'd wait, he'd get more troops together before confronting her. So there's a little bit of manoeuvring that has to go on. First, troops need to be